Hello, everybody. It's me. It's Dread from Miss Valley Entertainment News. We're having a hat day. I don't know why. We just are. Maybe it's a comfort hat. I don't know. We're gonna look at a video by White Mane called the most. I'm having an accent problem apparently. The most innovative game of 2023 is outdated. Starfield. I've not watched this yet, so we're gonna watch it together. Let's dive on into what might be of some interest, perhaps.
This is a very special occasion. Starfield has just won the Steam Award for the most innovative gameplay of 2023. And I wouldn't give a shit in any other case, but not here. Not with Starfield. Right from the first announcement of the game, I was incredibly hyped up about it. I replayed Skyrim more times
Many
than
people
I
were
can
hyped about
count,
it. Many
and
people were.
Fallout 4, despite its flaws, multiple flaws, including the absolutely ridiculous main storyline, is still one of my favorite games to return to. Bethesda didn't make perfect games, didn't make any innovations. I mean, someone still uses VATS in Fallout, and stealing from NPCs using a bucket is a meme for more than a decade. But Bethesda made games that had soul, that were interesting to play and return to, like to an old friend. And with that in mind, I have pre-ordered the deluxe edition of the game, only to play among the first ones on the 7-day early access. And imagine my fucking disappointment when I actually got to play it. Let's start with the most important aspect of any spacer sci-fi: the space. When we get our first ship and receive a mission to visit one of the game's big cities, I was thinking about how I want to fly across the atmosphere to test the full planet open world that Bethesda was teasing in the trailers. It sounds funny now, doesn't it? To leave the planet, you need to push one button, and suddenly, after a loading screen, you appear in space. So when I got to the space and passed the space combat tutorial, I tried to fly closer to the planet to see if I can land on it afterwards, only to pass 15 minutes before I finally realized that the planet I see is a PNG image. It's not actually there. Okay, I thought to myself, maybe I can't fly that close to the planet I just left, but what about other planets? How do I get there? I opened the map and pinpointed a nearby planet to make the same attempt to reach it with my ship. And I, of course, couldn't do it. It's so funny to say it now, but back then it was a shocking reveal to me that the space in the game is actually just an endless room with a background.
It's literally. I mean, I know it's a game, but it's still supposed to give you the equivalent of being in space. So actually being able to move around in space and go from point A to point B, you literally can't do that. When you're in space, you're just like you're like a Star Wars model ship for the very first Star Wars movie. It's just a model hanging on strings, and you got a background of space, and you got a camera, and that's what you've got. You got a camera that shows your ship against a background, a painting, whatever. And yeah, you can move your ship a little bit with remote control or whatever type thing, and it looks like you're doing something, but you're literally not going anywhere because you're literally not in space. And I know you're literally not in space because it's a game. Don't try to get me on that one. But you should still be within something that you can move around in and go from point A to point B, and you're not. It's an utter and complete scam as far as space travel. There is no space travel because there's no space. All you have is individual buildings, if you want to call them that. Call each planet a building because you can't go around the whole planet either. The whole planet doesn't exist. It's just a walled off compound with invisible walls. So we'll call it like a really large building. Each planet is just a really large building, is all it is. And you can go within that building, but you can't go outside the building. And then there may be smaller compounds and buildings within that you can enter. But you've got these individual large buildings connected by loading screens, and that's all you've actually got. It's a ripoff. It's a complete and utter ripoff. And a scam.
The only way to fly from one planet to another was through a quick travel button. So when I first saw it, I thought it was just something they limited for the early access. I just couldn't believe that you could build a fully customizable ship but couldn't actually fly it. But that is exactly what happened in the game. Imagine building your own car, modifying it perfectly for your personal enjoyment and comfort, only to learn that you can only ride it on a test bench. In fact, the only thing you can do with your ship is to have a few space combat encounters that are okay in its core, but you will have just a few of those throughout the game if you do not specifically look for fights. And these are the only times you'll get to actually use your ship. And funnily enough, when you need to access a space station, you will have to dock to it manually, even if you have already been there and could have just quick traveled. Space stations are the only locations that you'll have to actually use your ship to get to, which counters the argument about the planet-to-planet quick travel being a normal thing that was intended and doesn't break any immersion.
Yeah.
If the fast travel between planets is okay, and the game doesn't focus on space simulation, which by itself is a stupid thing to say about a game that was literally teasing free movement across thousands of planets, why can't we fast travel between space stations? Like, choose one or the other. So, the only innovation that Bethesda made, making it possible to assemble your ship from scratch, while being a pretty cool feature for recreating iconic starships from different sci-fi films, is a completely useless feature when it comes to actually using it. Your ship is
You know what else is completely useless? Bethesda.
just a bridge between one fast travel and another. And let's talk about other innovations that Bethesda failed to make. Before the release of Starfield, I wanted to prepare for the space setting and went on to play Elite Dangerous, a space simulator where you pilot your starship and use it for different tasks from cargo or passenger delivery to bounty hunting and
That's
piracy.
a lot of HUD. Wow.
I won't go too hard in this comparison, as Elite Dangerous is a simulator, with only some elements of a first-person shooter, that it doesn't handle too well, to be honest. But this game released in 2014, 10 years ago. It had a lot of time to grow and expand, true, but it was funded by a Kickstarter campaign and not made by a top-tier development studio. And we can say for sure that Bethesda did look up to ED just because of the ship control panel in Starfield that are the exact copy of those in ED. So, Elite Dangerous features a free movement within one solar system and has the hyperspace jump mechanics that moves you to another system through a loading screen of sorts. But the free solar system exploration wasn't a thing I expected from Starfield. Apart from it, Elite Dangerous allows you to land on planets through a complex minigame where you try your hardest not to hit the surface of the planet. And the thing is, you can fly across the planet to your destination. And knowing how proud Bethesda were about their open world, that was the thing I expected to be in the game, but it wasn't there. And when I learned why, that was the point when I gave up all of my hopes for this game.
It's not a planet that you're exploring. You're exploring a bunch of little bitty fish bowls generated based off of seeds that are shared in common with the planet. Let's just say right here is the invisible wall. I see this mountain in the distance and I want to go explore it. I want to go get to the top of that mountain. Just like Todd Howard said back in the day about Skyrim, I see that mountain, I want to climb it. Well, the problem is that if the invisible wall is right here, because you can't actually just set your landing zone over here a little bit or over on this corner or whatever, because you can't do that, instead what you have to do is go to this menu and try to get as close to it as you possibly can. If I then travel to that landing zone, you will see there is no overlap. There are no overlapping mountain ranges or points of interest. It's completely different because every time you land, that landing zone is effectively a different seed that's generated. Both of these are different maps entirely.
The full
Boom.
planet open world
It's all fake, people.
a lie. You can't run across the planet even if you try to do it for countless hours. You'll just hit an invisible wall and get a notification that the open world ends here. So not only
Open
you can't
world.
fly across the planet, you can't even walk across it. The area you can explore is a big chunk of a planet with some random and pretty rare caves or abandoned camps that you can go into and have the most boring experience collecting random loot, or if you're lucky, killing random pirates or other criminals. This is ridiculous. And if you don't like the Elite Dangerous comparison, I've got another one for you. Another game that caused a lot of controversy on its release, that features free movement across the galaxy and across planets, that has a lot of points of interest marked on a planetary map that you can explore without bumping in an invisible wall, and that actually has an open world with procedural generation. It's No Man's Sky. And No Man's Sky is not a first-person shooter. Not even a third-person shooter, for that matter. But it has a lot of features Starfield should have had, but it just doesn't. From an obvious, truly open world on planets, to actually having all of the planet's surface accessible for the player. The game is constantly bluffing and straight on lying to you. At some point in my gameplay, I was incredibly bored, and all that was left of my immersion in the game was the interest in how does the reputation system work.
Now, get that. This is a person who bought this game, pre-ordered it, jumped into early access on this game, jumped into early release, was full of hype about this game, and this person is saying this game is bluffing and lying to you. Again, this game has not just let down gamers in general, especially people like me who, I don't want to toot my own horn, but we're smart enough to recognize what Bethesda's becoming and stay away from this pile of crap. It is pissing off the people who were full of hype about this, who were full of hope about this, who paid full price, who bought the game, who jumped in as soon as they could, wanted to experience all this game had to offer, and were ultimately disappointed in realizing Todd Howard and Bethesda Gaming Studios lied to them repeatedly about this game. And what they are experiencing is a boring game that's just full of lies. And if you're thinking, well, surely Bethesda's learned their lesson, and when they put out their next game, they're not going to do this. No, they're not going to do this. They're going to double and triple down on this, and it's going to be at least 50% worse, people. 50% worse, at least. You can't trust this gaming studio. You cannot trust this gaming studio. They do not have your best interests at heart. They do not listen to the players. They don't care.
So I landed on one of the biggest cities in the galaxy and started killing every civilian I saw on my way. Not only could I do that without any consequences if I killed the last witness, when I went out to the most crowded place in the city and started my killing spree there, the only thing why I had a bounty on my head was because I couldn't kill some of the NPCs that were valuable for the story. This is the thing that was in Bethesda games for decades, and now it's here in Starfield. So here's a new question. If I am able to go psycho on the street and kill every civilian I see, why can't I do it in full? And if the game doesn't want me to do that, why can I do that in the first place?
Question.
This is yet another inconsistency that this game gives to us. It creates an impression of being open for exploration and different gameplay styles, while at the same time limiting us to do some actual choices. And it looks even more ridiculous when you look at Baldur's Gate 3, which allows you to kill anyone if you want to, no matter how valuable this character is to progress in your story.
Mhm.
And if you kill or attack someone valuable, it gives you pretty expectable consequences for doing so. So what happened after I had a 60k credit bounty on my head? I intentionally surrendered to an officer and was transferred to a ship where another officer pressed me to become his agent in the pirate gang. He flexed on his security and said if I try to escape, I will be killed, and yada yada.
And don't bother trying to leave the ship. I think you'll find all access to the docking area is fully restricted.
Just until I saw that I was sitting in his interrogation room with my weapons on me. So I decided to call his bluff and started shooting the guards and made it to my ship. I couldn't kill this guy, so I just downed him and went straight to the ship where my companions didn't even give a shit that I had just become one of the most wanted men in this part of the galaxy.
Oh my word. There is just literally... It literally just doesn't matter. Nothing in this game matters. Nothing. There's no consequences. There's no real choices. There's nothing. If you were to poke your finger into Starfield, your finger would come out clean. There is actually nothing there. It's like a hologram. It's a holographic image of a game. It makes you think it's something. It makes you think it's there. There is nothing here. This is why the modders won't try to fix this game. There's nothing. They said it. There is nothing to this game. We can't fix it. There's nothing here. This is not a game. This is an AI-created piece of garbage that Bethesda is claiming is their own. And it is a effing embarrassment to gaming community in general. I don't care if you've never played a Bethesda game. I don't care if you've never played a first-person shooter. You never played a space game. I don't care if you're part of the gaming community. This game is an embarrassment. It's not even really here. It is literally nothing.
I tried leaving this place on my ship several times, and I couldn't get through. Wow, this guy wasn't bluffing, I thought, and I was pretty sure that this was the end of it. But just as I wanted to load the save I made before I started shooting, I tried to fast travel to a different location. And I fucking did. Only my neighbors know how hard I laughed after this. Even Fallout and Skyrim doesn't let you leave the instance with a fast travel, but Starfield just did. If innovation means being able to escape the only consequences of your decisions in the game that you can get, then it's true, Starfield is the most innovative game of the year.
Wow.
Of a decade even. I didn't touch the shooting and the magic system because they are pretty okay. Nothing new and innovative, but nothing inherently bad about it. The stealth system is a bit rough, and it's funny seeing an NPC slowly rise from its chair when they see their comrade fall with a hole in their head. But this game genuinely feels like a mix of Skyrim and Fallout 4, which is not good for innovation, as these two games released quite some time ago, and both of them had a lot of problems in their gameplay. And yeah, one more thing, the RPG aspect. I can't remember a less intuitive perk system in my life. Imagine I want to make a stealthy build, focusing on stealth damage and lockpicking, a standard choice in any RPG for me, including Skyrim and Fallout 4. Because we don't have attribute points anymore, I have to spend my skill points on some useless perks in physical to get to the bottom and take the concealment perk. Same goes for sniper rifles. I need to spend 8 skill levels, and that's 8 character levels, to get to this perk, and be able to finally spend 4 more skill points on it. The game makes me pick unnecessary perks like weightlifting, just to get to the perks that I really need.
So non-intuitive doesn't allow you to play the style you want to play without grinding away at the boringness Again, it's a game that's trying to get you to play it as long as possible. And we know this is true because what does Bethesda say to people who don't like the game? Keep playing, it'll get better. Keep playing. You just don't know how good the game is. Keep playing. You're just not playing it right. Pick another character. Keep playing. Keep playing, keep playing. And then it's like, oh, look how successful our game was. Look at how many hours people play. There ever been a more crooked company? I know, but you're going to name a bunch of companies that are more crooked now, but yeah, but let's be honest, Bethesda's right up there. Bethesda is right up there and getting more and more crooked as they go. It's disgusting.
For example, you don't have the attribute system in Skyrim as well, but you have a full-blown skill tree for those perks you actually use that progress with time if you build your gameplay around them. I feel like once again Bethesda tried to invent a new skill system, but failed to make it actually playable, and instead created something that only makes your gameplay more frustrating and irritating. It is a downgrade from their previous games as
Bethesda doesn't play their own games. Come on, they're too busy getting drunk and Dom Perignon in the offices and I don't know, everybody having sex with Todd Howard, whatever they do there.
for me, and I don't think this system brings anything to the gameplay apart from just making it longer, as you need more unnecessary leveling to get to the skills you actually need. I can go into minute details for about an hour more, but I won't. This is enough.
Oh, you
This
should
is
do
why
it.
this game
You should
is
totes
not
do it.
innovative. You heard developers say about the space exploration and giant open world, but there is nothing to explore and no freedom of movement, neither in space nor on a planet.
Nope.
You see a reputation system and get yourself arrested only to know that you can pick a fight on armed to the teeth location and then just fast travel to escape any consequence you should have received.
Yeah, an RPG is made to have choices. I mean, the best RPGs put in a lot of choices, whether it's a choice in how you build your character, choice on what skills you take, how you spend your points when you level up. You got choice in what companions you may take with you. You've got choices in the game. This has nothing. There's no choices in this. Seriously, I think this was completely made by AI. I don't even know there's anybody working at Bethesda Gaming Studios at this point, except for Todd and Emil, maybe. I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get how people will consume this and be okay with it. Like, you seriously shouldn't be okay with this at all. I mean, again, I don't want to use the age number, but if you're 10 or 12 years old and you've never really experienced games before, and you buy this and you heard about the hype and you think it's great, oh boy, this is great, like, maybe wait for your balls to drop. I'm just saying, because at least I understand that because you don't know any better. But if you're an adult gamer, surely you understand enough about games to understand that this is garbage. You should not be accepting of this at all. I don't even care if you got it for free on Game Pass. You should still be saying this pile of trash isn't even worth my time. Because just by putting your man hours into playing it, you're pumping up the tires on Bethesda Gaming Studios. And you're letting them know to keep doing this crap, okay? And you're letting other gaming studios know, hey, we can put a lot less work into our games and people will buy them and play them too. We could just tell them, no, you're playing the game wrong. Keep playing, it'll get better. And then we could say, look at all the hours people played our game. Our game was a success. And it's like a snowball rolling downhill as all the gaming companies follow suit. And it's the death of the gaming industry. So I'm going to tell you again, I can't force any of you to, but I'm telling you, stop supporting this kind of game. And when I say this kind of game, I mean, first and foremost, this game, and then look around and find other games that are doing similar practices and stop supporting them too. Hello, I'm talking to you, Diablo 4 players. And there's many other games out there. All right, those who are going to be happily jumping into Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Okay, back away from terrible games and terrible gaming companies, please. For all of us, please just do it. You're not missing out on anything. This game is literally nothing.
You get bored because of that and start to do some stupid shit like massacring entire cities, only to see that you don't get any response on that from the game. And those responses you do get, you can just discard for bullshit they are. You hear about an exciting new level progression system, and it's actually making the game worse by just being in the game. I personally don't think it's a completely bad game. There are several interesting quest lines where even though you need to do a lot of monkey work just fast traveling to multiple planets to pick up a random item or
That sounds
whatever,
pretty stupid.
they are still interesting from a story standpoint.
An interesting fetch quest. Sure, 1 in a million is, but most of them are just fetch quests. They're just designed to make the game longer. Fetch quest isn't usually an interesting quest. You don't mind having a few here and there, but if you're full of them, and it's in this case it's a loading screen fetch quest too.
But the game feels intensely outdated, even for 5 years ago. And those innovations the game tries to make, like being able to build a ship from scratch, the game limits
Doesn't matter.
by being too old at the time of its release.
Just doesn't
I
matter.
really wanted to say something good about the game, but the true innovation of Starfield is the amount of unfulfilled promises and boring gameplay it has. And I even didn't touch the story, which is the main focus of my channel. So if you like this video, maybe I'll get to that. Shit. By the way, I'm thinking about making a few streams, so
Go ahead there, Whitebane. I don't know this person personally. I have no idea who they are. But if you want to check out their video, I will link it down below. And that was their take, again, from a Starfield fan, at least until they played it. And that was my take on their take. So that's all we're going to talk about here. But as always, drop down in the comments below. I love to hear your comments, read your comments. I don't actually hear them unless I say them out loud. That's kind of weird. Why would I say your comments out loud? Yeah. I don't know. That is weird. Maybe I hear them in my head while I'm reading them. Maybe. What was I saying? Oh, I love reading your comments. I read them all. I respond to as many as I can. And of course, I always pick through them. It's been better lately. I haven't got so many obnoxious ones. Maybe those people are falling away now. That would be good. But I'm expecting those people or that people like them will pop back up to put the obnoxious comments in, to criticize me unfairly, or to take shots at some of you for your comments on there. I don't allow that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff just gets deleted or reported, depending. But yeah, what else can I tell you? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. We're trying to build the channel, and I've been really happy with the growth the last few months. Really, I have, and I thank all of you for that. This content is ultimately for you. I do it because I enjoy it, but honestly, if I wasn't getting the response I did, I wouldn't be doing nearly as much of it. And so anyways, my thanks to you. Continue to help building the channel up by telling others. And you can also help by leaving a like, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, ringing the bell for notifications. This all helps the YouTube algorithm, helps YouTube decide to show my thumbnail, my video to more people, and hopefully get more people involved. I want to reach more people with the stuff I'm saying. Of course I do. I actually believe the stuff I'm saying. I know there's some channels out there who are kind of smoke and mirrors, and they make up hot takes on things that they don't believe. Everything I say comes from my heart. If I'm passionate about something, it's because I'm passionate about something. If I'm angry about something, it's because I'm angry about it. None of that's made up. That's all me. And I still appreciate some of you sticking by me despite that, because some people just don't like emotions. They just want facts. I kind of like both. So, yeah. Anyways, I thank you all so much, and we'll see you in next time. Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name is Dread. Bye-bye.